this movie deserves a lot of the hate that it gets. But on the other hand, it has arguably one of the best scenes in the entirety of Star Wars movies in it.
Have you not watched the pod racing scene?
It's up there.
I don't think I believe you.
I'll send it to you after this is over.
Please do. I will try to look at it without bias.
Okay, so this movie is a lot like Empire Strikes Back in that throughout just about the entire movie, the Jedi and the not Jedi people are in two separate groups doing their own things. So, episode 5... Sorry. No, yeah. Episode 5 and also episode 8 start with the bad guys finding the base, and they have to evacuate before it gets entirely blown up.
But they just blew up the base.
No, the First Order blew up the New Republic, which is separate from the Resistance. Leia created the Resistance when she discovered that the New Republic was just gonna sit with their thumb up their butts and completely ignore the First Order. So she basically just made the Rebel Alliance all over again. That's what the Resistance is. It's not sanctioned by the New Republic, but it's, composed mainly of New Republic personnel and military hardware that the New Republic just happened to misplace.
So basically, the only thing Leia is a plot device for creating rebellions.
Basically.
Okay.
So yeah, bad guys find the Rebel base. Rebel base is about to get blown up. Instead of that being half the movie, it's like 20 minutes.
Okay.
They escape in a handful of ships, but they don't actually manage to escape. The First Order manages to track them through hyperspace to the middle of absolute nowhere. Like, there's not even a star anywhere nearby. It's just empty space. And the First Order finds them. Which is supposed to be impossible. And, oh no, they're almost out of gas. They only have enough left for one more hyperspace jump. And after that, they can't run anymore. So what do? They run, but it's sublight. So they turn on all their thrusters and try to just move away in normal space from the First Order as fast as they can. And the First Order's like, okay, we can do this, and just starts following them and shooting at them for the entire movie. Okay. It is the worst chase scene in the history of cinema.
Okay, how about Rise of Skywalker? What's that movie about?
No, we're not quite there yet.
Well, you said that was the whole movie.
I said they do it for the entire movie. I didn't say that's the only thing that happens in the movie. So many more stupid things happen. Let's see. So now that we've got that established with the non-force people... This isn't even
something I can, draw pictures for. This is just text because it's just, yeah, they do this. The other guys do this. They follow.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, now that we've got the non-force people established, let's go back to the force people. After Rey hands Luke his old lightsaber, what do you think the first thing he does is?
Throw it into the ocean.
Yes.
I could have written Star Wars!
Did you actually have that spoiled for you,
no!
Or were you just being stupid?
I know that he has given up the Force. And I thought it would be, I thought it would be funny to say the things that, people, teens do in movies where they, look at their, medication, they decide, I don't need this anymore, it's holding me back, and they throw it into the ocean or whatever. So I just thought it would be funny if he did that, because I know he's, on a cliff when she finds him. He literally throws it into the ocean?
Well, he tosses it over his shoulder down the hill, and it almost rolls into the ocean, but she saves it.
He could just throw it. What, just...
He doesn't even care enough to destroy his own legacy properly. So yeah, most of the movie the first third of the movie, she just spends following him around, asking him to train her, and he just keeps saying no and tries to walk faster to get away from her.
So what you're saying is Luke doesn't have the energy to do a hyperspace walk away from her, so he just walks slowly, and she follows along walking slowly and pesters him.
Yes.
Rhyming in cinema.
So yeah, so eventually she gets him to say more than 2 words to her, most of those 2 words being go away.
Can I just, I'm sorry, real quick, I'd just like to point out how disappointing this scene must have been when the last movie ends on a cliffhanger of her being like, here's your lightsaber, and this movie starts with him being like, Lamau, disrespect, and you're just like, what? Like, he's just like, Kobe! You're just like, what?
No, he doesn't even turn around and throw it. He literally tosses it over his shoulder.
Like, it's just, like, such a disrespectful thing to start with. Like, imagine if you started to watch The Two Towers, and it starts with the whole Fellowship of the Ring getting back together again. You'd be like, but what about the ending where they were all forced apart and that was an interesting thing? And they're like, no.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing about Last Jedi. The guy that wrote this, his entire point with all of this was to subvert every single plot expectation that he could think of.
But in a bad way.
Yeah, he did it really badly.
Is this the same guy whose principle for filmmaking is the mystery box idea? Where he doesn't tell anyone what any of his ideas are, he just sets up a plot device concept, or like a mysterious plot point, and no one knows where it goes until a movie or 2 later where he finally does or does not decide to do something with it, and sometimes it just goes away.
I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised. He also did Knives Out, which was, basically that, but in a single movie. Although Knives Out was actually good.
Okay, it's apparently J.J. Abrams. Did he do Star Wars?
He did 7 and 9. Rian Johnson did 8.
Wait, he did 7 and 9? There's a different director for 8?
Yep. Originally, it was going to be... I don't remember who it was. They wanted to have a different director for each one, but whoever it was that was going to do 9 bailed on them, so they brought J.J. Abrams back.
Yeah, because they saw 7 and 8 and they were like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, so she annoys Luke. What happens next?
She annoys Luke. He keeps telling her to go away, so she brings Chewie to break down his door. Chewie breaks down his door. This kind of shocks him out of his hermit thing for the first time in the entire movie. He's happy to see Chewie, and he's like, wait, where's Han? And that's as much as that ever gets. Apparently, there's a deleted scene with him, angsting over the fact that Han died and he didn't even know when he wasn't there. But that never made it into the cut, so it basically doesn't exist. So yeah, so he says hi to Chewie. He, talks a bit, decides he's still not going to train her. But now that Chewie's there, he knows that she came in the Falcon. So while Chewie is in the process of eating a porg, I don't know if you've seen what a porg is yet.
Nope.
Porgs are actually a funny story. They're basically little cute-ish,
thank God there's at least
furby-looking
one
birds.
funny story in these movies.
They're these little birds that are just on this island.
Okay.
They're about the size of a Furby. And they're supposed to look cute and merchandisable. They weren't originally supposed to be in the movie at all. The reason they were put in was because this movie was apparently shot on an island with a ton of puffins. And puffins don't exist in Star Wars, so they had to have something to CGI over the top of them.
Oh my God. I like that they're like, well, there's no other islands we could do this on.
I think it was somewhere in Scotland, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Might have been New Zealand.
So did R2 come with there to come see Luke?
Yes, they did. So he sneaks onto the Falcon, spends some time reminiscing there, and stumbles over R2. And, first R2, he says hi. R2 greets him back. He says, "How have you been?" And R2 tweetles something at him. And then Luke replies, "Hey, Sacred Island, watch the language." So it is now canon that the reason R2 is nothing but boops and beeps is because he is so foul-mouthed that they just bleeped everything. So anyway, he talks to R2 for a few minutes and says, "I wish I could make you understand, but I'm never going to train another Jedi." To which R2 just rotates and starts playing "Help Me, Obi-Wan Kenobi." Which, in fairness, that was a good scene. So, when that's done playing, Luke just kind of gives him a side eye and says that was a low blow. And then he agrees to train Rey. But only like 3 lessons, with the intent of telling her why the Jedi need to end. And basically what it comes down to is he didn't live up to his own hype, so he thinks the Jedi shouldn't either.
So he's basically just like, Jedi aren't great, and so we should end them. And she's like, but what about the Sith that will exist, and who's going to oppose them? He's like, I haven't thought that part through, so let's not talk about it.
Well, nobody actually knows the Sith are back yet. Kylo Ren isn't a Sith, neither is Snoke.
He has a lightsaber.
But he's not Sith.
Who cares? They have a lightsaber, and he can use the Force, and he's evil. That's all that you need.
He's not Sith.
What? Yes, it is! What are you fucking talking about? Are you serious that they're like that he is like not Sith according to every character when he is evil and has the Force and a lightsaber?
Yep.
Then what's Sith? Tim, does he use the dark side of the Force?
Yes, definitely.
He's a Sith. That's basically
they
the
come
definition.
back to this. They come back to this in episode 9. In episode 7 and 8, they try to play it off as the thing with the Jedi and the Sith just being one more spat between good and evil in the history of the galaxy. And now they're both gone, so nobody needs to care about either of them anymore. So yeah, so his 3 lessons all boil down to, the Jedi actually sucked, so they should not exist anymore. And I definitely killed all of the Sith. Barring that one that killed all of my students. So, the Jedi aren't needed anymore.
Yeah, barring the one that killed all my students and then made off with some of the other students and is still alive.
Yeah.
And he's like, so you didn't kill all of them. And he's just like,
Yeah. Oh, and he's been learning under Snoke the whole time. Snoke is definitely his dark side master.
So what you just told me about them not being Sith is they are definitely Sith.
They are functionally Sith, but in the ways that actually matter to the Force, they're not.
What the fuck? Okay, up until now...
I'll explain that when we come to 9.
Up until now, a Sith has just meant somebody who uses the dark side of the Force and tries to, take over and what... It just means the opposite of Jedi, but it doesn't require, formal training to be considered Sith. Someone had to have been the first Sith. I hate this.
There actually is more to it than that, and we can go into an entire separate thing on that, but it'll derail us from this.
Yeah. I'm starting to think this show should be a 5-hour
for the time being,
thing.
Take my word for it, there's more to being Sith than being Force and evil.
Bull Sith.
I'll take that. So yeah, while this is happening, the First Order is still shooting at the fleeing Resistance. The Resistance ships are starting to run out of gas. So when that happens, they just get in the shuttles and move up to the next ship and let the one that's out of gas just float behind them. So yeah, that's happening. Nobody's really happy about this. Over the course of these events, at one point, Kylo Ren gets in a TIE fighter and blows up the bridge on one of these ships and hits Leia. She's not actually dead, but she does spend most of the rest of the movie in a coma.
How did he hit her and her not die?
He blew out the bridge. So the bridge decompressed, she was sucked out into space, and
she's
she
dead.
force pulled herself back onto the ship.
No, if you get sucked out into space, you instantly die. I know how space works.
That is not actually how space works. It would be kinder if it did.
Oh, so you're saying the fact that Leia survived and eventually comes back is worse than if she had just died?
Death by explosive decompression is probably one of the most painful natural ways to die, aside from like hemorrhaging out your eyeballs from Ebola or something like that. So yeah, so Kylo Ren shoots her.
I'm drawing a
She
twin ion
survived,
engine,
but
real quick. A twin ion engine fighter. That's right. I know a little bit about Star Wars. My drawings of Kylo Ren's mask have become lazier over time. like it's just like he looks like a bionicle.
Yeah, it deserves it though.
Yeah, I'm not mad. It's accurate.
It's actually established in this movie that Kylo Ren wears that mask not because he needs it for anything at all, but just because he's fanboying over Vader and it actually annoys Snoke.
It's what's so funny to me too is that like the idea is he fanboyed over Vader and made a objectively less interesting mask.
Yeah.
Vader's mask is one of the most memorable like things. I like his mask is so simple and not interesting. Like it's just
it gets a tiny bit more interesting in episode 9.
Oh, is that after he breaks it and then remakes another one for no reason?
Yeah. Well, no, he doesn't remake a new one. He forges the old one back together. So you know in Mass Effect 2, when you put Shepard back together and he just has weird red lines all over his face?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like that.
Good.
So yeah, anyway, so yeah, ships are running out of gas. There's someone new in charge of the Resistance while Leia's in a coma called Admiral Holdo. And she's not telling anyone anything. She has a plan. Nobody knows what it is.
So she doesn't have a plan.
She sort of actually does have a plan. Why didn't she tell anyone? Stupid. But yeah, so she does actually have a plan. No one knows what it is. They just assume that she doesn't, and she's just trying to run away as long as she can before everyone dies. So in an attempt to get the Imperials off their tail, Finn and a new character named Rose sneak off the ship, somehow get past the Imperials, who didn't see them leave in a burst of hyperspace light, and they go to a casino world called Canto Bight, where they're supposed to find a master code breaker who's going to hack them into the Imperial ship and turn off the tracker long enough for the Resistance to escape.
You said which characters are these? Is this Finn?
Yeah, Finn and Rose, new character.
I have a question. What the fuck ever happened with Poe?
He's the one who approves of this mission and basically covers for them while they're gone.
Okay.
So that nobody notices.
So basically he just stopped mattering.
Yeah, kind of. At the end of the movie, he kind of does a mutiny, but we haven't reached that part yet. So, anyway, Finn and Rose and BB-8 run off to Canto Bight, find the Master Code Breaker. They get arrested for parking their ship on a beach instead of, in some kind of parking lot, and tossed in jail for that. And while they're in there, they find basically a discount code breaker. He's like, yeah, I can totally do that thing, whatever it is you said. You want to get me out of here? So they believe him, and they get him out of there. Shenanigans happen. not so veiled commentary about, corporations and war profiteering and so on.
I love that it's like, thinly veiled thing about corporations. Anyways, this was created by Disney. Corporations are bad, but just don't think about the fact that we're one also.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing is bad. We just choose not to care.
So anyway, so they sneak on to the Star Destroyer that's tailing them and, get this discount codebreaker guy into the room where he's supposed to be, where, of course, they're immediately caught. That's really as far as that goes. They're caught, and he flips on them and tells the First Order everything he knows about them, and they give him a new ship, and off he goes.
Wait, they actually just let him go?
They just let him go. Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a thing that they would do.
No, it doesn't, but they do.
Okay.
So the reason they get caught is even stupider than that. They come aboard in the ship's laundry, apparently, and get costumes for all of them, but they can't figure out any way to disguise BB-8 because he is bright white and orange and obviously not an Imperial droid.
So they just don't?
So they stick a trash can on his head. And then he pretends to be a mouse droid.
It's not even what mouse droids do.
Nope, it's not. And then they're caught because another BB unit, who actually is Imperial, notices this weird mouse droid running around and saying not mouse droid things and reports them. And that's the reason they get caught.
Hold on. So they needed a costume for him because he's clearly not an Imperial robot because he's a BB model. And they get caught by an Imperial BB model.
No, Imperial BB models do exist, but they're painted black, not white and orange.
To say he's new and he needs to get painted.
Yeah, that was too much thinking for them. They just stuck a trash can on his head and called him a mouse
That's
droid.
worse. That required more thinking. God damn it. This is painful.
So they get caught.
I literally just wrote because they're dumb, and I'm leaving it at that because it is infuriating.
Yeah. So yeah, discount codebreaker flips on them. While all of this is happening... Okay, sorry. This is going to sound a little disjointed because throughout the entire movie, we're constantly flipping back and forth between Rey with her not Jedi training and everyone else.
Yeah.
So, back to Rey for a minute. While she's been on Luke's hidden planet called Octo, she's...
Scotland, yeah.
Yeah. So while she's been there, she has, for some unexplained reason,
Visions?
she's been getting visions of Kylo Ren, sometimes shirtless. And they talk to each other while this is happening.
No,
and
Tim,
actually,
I'm done. Oh, what the fuck? Like, I'm fine with received visions because that was a whole thing with Luke and Yoda. But if it was like, I'm receiving a vision of Han Solo without a shirt?
And it's not really a vision because they can actually talk to each other. They perceive each other, they physically see each other, although not their surroundings, and they talk. And can apparently, if they're close enough, touch, which, doesn't get shippy at all. So this is all going on during her Jedi training. Eventually, Luke catches them in the act of, whatever it was.
Wait, in their dreams?
No, they're not dreaming. They're wide awake when this happens.
Wait, what?
It just happens randomly.
How does he catch them if it's not actually happening? Or is this like the Luke fighting Vader thing, where it isn't happening, but it is happening?
Luke perceives enough Force energy on the island to realize what's happening, and he senses his apprentice's presence and at one point actually sees them holding hands.
Yeah, this was a bad idea.
Yeah. So anyway, at that point, Rey is convinced that she can turn him back to the light, and Luke's like, no, this is a stupid idea. So she gets in a lightsaber battle with him.
With Luke?
Mm-hmm. Well, no. She gets in basically a staff fight with him, where they both have long sticks and try to beat each other up. And she wins by pulling the lightsaber on him.
What? That's like the worst show of like dominance is like to fight your trainer with wooden sticks and then pull a real sword on him and be like, haha, I've gotten better at training than you. And they're like, no, you just put a real weapon and what?
So yeah.
What is she gonna do when she actually fights a Sith? She's gonna use a lightsaber and then pull out a real lightsaber, and they're just like, yeah.
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, that's not a lightsaber. This is a lightsaber, and it's just a claymore.
No, it actually gets better. In her final fight with the Sith, she pulls out a lightsaber and then gives it away.
I mean,
but we'll get to that.
I mean, Luke does throw his lightsaber away before he fights Palpatine.
No, I mean, she physically hands it to Kylo Ren during the fight.
Okay.
But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. As she's standing over Luke with the lightsaber ignited, she's like, one last time, train me. And he's like, no. She says, okay, I'm going to go see Kylo Ren. So at that point, she just gets back on the Falcon and flies off to the Armada. Or, yeah, the First Order Armada that's following the Resistance. And she finds them, and she manages to get on board the Star Destroyer, where she is immediately arrested and taken to Snoke. While this is happening, at the same time, the people who snuck on board the Star Destroyer are in the process of getting arrested and having the discount codebreaker flip on them. So this is all happening at like the exact same time. It's a very busy time for the people who arrest people on Star Destroyers. So, anyway, she ends up in front of Snoke. Snoke does the whole gloating thing and tells Kylo Ren to kill her, and he acts a little conflicted, and she tries to turn him, and he's like, you fool, you think you can turn him? He's about to kill his biggest enemy! And then Kylo Ren ignites her lightsaber, which had been confiscated from her and sitting next to Snoke, and cuts Snoke in half.
I also just looked up Snoke for the first time, and wow, he is just a discount Palpatine.
You think you're kidding, but we'll get to that.
No, I mean, like, he looks like he's from the dollar store.
Again, you think you're kidding.
No,
we'll get to that.
I know, but, like, this is the... Mom, I want to buy a Sith Lord, and she says, we have Sith Lords at home, and then he's the picture that's the Sith Lord at home.
Yes, again, you are not factually wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I already know some bullshit's gonna happen. I'm not even going to draw Snoke because I hate it.
Okay, so yeah, Kylo Ren cuts Snoke in half, and Rey is like, oh, you're good again! Hooray, we can save the galaxy! And he's like, no, I'm not good, I just want to rule the Empire now. So they get into a fight, and the way that fight ends is the Holdo maneuver. Which you've probably heard about, even if you're not entirely sure what it is.
I have not heard about it.
You have not heard about... Oh, boy. First rule of Holdo maneuver. When we're done with this conversation, we will no longer talk about the Holdo maneuver. I see you writing it in big text.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. This is...
Okay, so the Holdo maneuver is when you point a big ship at an enemy ship and then go to light speed and hit them with it.
What?
which
Damn
had
it.
never been done before or since in Star Wars.
It's just kamikaze.
Yeah,
Was
never
there
been done
anyone-
before.
was there
Completely
anyone-
unknown technique. No one saw it coming.
Was there anyone in the ship?
She was. She had to do it on manual because, of course, ships don't like to go to light speed when they're pointed at other ships.
So just like no one knows how to program in the. God damn it.
But there had to be this heroic sacrifice of that character that nobody liked.
I mean, she had cool hair.
She did have cool hair. It's very purple.
Yeah, that's the only thing I have with her is I drew her once and wrote I'm in charge because I have cool hair.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, holdo maneuver happens. A bunch of ships in the Imperial Armada get cut in half.
Wait, a bunch of
The
them?
big one out front mostly survives. Everyone gets rattled around a good bit, obviously, because light speed collisions are very energetic. And of course, that ends the fight. They go their separate ways. Kylo Ren goes back to the rest of the Armada. Rey escapes onto the Falcon somehow. The rest of the Resistance goes down to the planet where they had apparently been running towards this whole time, called Crate, which was an old rebel base that everyone had just forgotten about. So the rebels get there a few hours before the First Order do, and they all get holed up, and it's basically the beginning of the movie all over again. No, it's basically the beginning of Empire Strikes Back all over again, where the Imperials have come knocking, and the rebels are backed into a corner, and their only choice is to fight, and before they can find their way out. So the First Order comes down, starts knocking at the giant door they have. Doesn't work. So the Empire brings out a giant laser battering ram.
Question. They know where the rebels are now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have a thing that destroys planets.
They had a thing that destroys planets. It got blown up at the end of 7.
Wait, what? We never talked about that!
I'm pretty sure he mentioned it.
No!
It got blown up. Everyone ran away before it finished blowing up. The end.
Is that what just explosion? I guess that may be just under explosions because we just started condensing. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they bring down a laser battering ram. What is it? Miniaturized Death Star tech, and that's all they ever say about it.
So it's just the lasers that I mentioned.
Yeah, basically. It's just more evil space lasers.
The Sith have one thing that they know how to do.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, so the rebels are all holed up. I'm just gonna keep calling them rebels because it's annoying having to remember to say resistance every time.
Nope, they're the rebels.
They're the rebels.
Rebels too.
Yeah. So the rebels are all holed up. The Imperials beat down the door. The rebels try to destroy the battering ram, but fail and almost get a bunch of them killed. Kylo Ren's there overseeing the whole thing.
I'm just gonna write basically Helm's Deep.
Yeah, it's basically Helm's Deep. And then Luke shows up. At dawn, they look to the east, and there's just this old guy with a beard and a lightsaber. And he goes out the front door that's been completely knocked down and just stands there alone in front of, like, 8 AT-ATs and a bunch of other flying ships with lasers on them.
Whose lightsaber is this?
It's Luke's lightsaber.
I thought Rey took that.
Hold on. Just hold that thought. Trust me.
Is it a different Luke's lightsaber? I know he did technically have 2 different ones. Did he fly to Cloud City real quick and get the one that he lost?
No, that is the one that Rey has, but
wait,
trust
what?
me on this.
Okay, so is this the other one that he had at the end of... No, because that one blew up with the Death Star.
Trust me on this. Hold that thought.
But he can't
Just
make
stop
another
asking
one.
questions about that
No,
for a
but
second.
he can't make another one because the planet that it was on got turned into a Death Star.
Stop asking questions for a second and trust me.
Tim, we've gone through one movie. I don't trust you.
Okay, so he shows up with his lightsaber and just faces down all of them. And of course, Kylo Ren does the actual sensible thing where he tells every gun that he has to fire on Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And, they spend about probably a full 30 seconds just completely obliterating the spot where he's standing and makes a huge, gigantic dust cloud. And, if that goes on for a while, eventually the general in charge of the First Order forces calls them off while Kylo's just standing there staring at it. And, turns to Kylo and says, "I think you got him," or something along those lines. After which, Luke walks out of the dust cloud and just casually brushes off his shoulder. So at that point, Kylo Ren goes down to face him one-on-one, and they have this lightsaber battle, before which they do some trash talking. Luke apologizes for being a bad teacher and not being able to save him, and he failed him, so on and so forth. Kylo gloats about how he's going to destroy the Jedi and the Rebellion and so on. Luke says, "Nope, you're wrong." And then they get into their lightsaber battle. By which I mean, Kylo swings his lightsaber at Luke a bunch of times and just keeps missing entirely. Luke just Yoda's his way out of it every single time. When I say Yoda's his way out of it, you know exactly what I mean.
Yes, I've watched episode 3.
Yes.
Honestly, one of my favorite fight scenes, though.
Yeah, that was good. So yeah, Luke just keeps doing that, taunting him the whole time. Not even saying anything, just the looks he gives him. And eventually, they both get tired of playing around. Luke just stands there in front of him. Kylo charges at him and cuts him in half with his lightsaber and turns around, and Luke's still standing there.
Oh, he's
Kylo stares at him for a second, pokes him in the chest with his lightsaber, and it just goes straight through him, doing no damage at all. Luke isn't actually there. It's a force projection. Luke is still on Octo.
So, is the lightsaber a force projection? And that's why?
Yeah. No, Luke's lightsaber never actually touched Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Okay, so I'm assuming when you do a force projection, you are projecting an image of yourself as you are into this place, not, and I'm gonna dress myself up however I want and make a lightsaber and, like...
No, he does dress himself up however he wants. He makes his own lightsaber and he changes his clothes. And I think he does some grooming on his beard, too.
He didn't make himself look, like, super ripped and, like, a couple inches taller or anything?
He probably could, but that would have made it more obvious that it was an illusion.
He should have done it. No one's seen him in 20 years.
Yeah, that's fair. So anyway, so now the jig is up. Kylo Ren knows that it was an illusion he was fighting this whole time. Luke just nods and says, "See you around, kid." And the illusion vanishes. And then, like, 15 seconds later, Luke actually dies.
Of...
exhaustion.
What?
He just did a lightsaber battle from across a galaxy.
But he didn't. He dodged a bunch from across a galaxy.
He projected his image across the galaxy and maintained it for like a good 5-10 minutes.
Okay, and?
And that's something that can kill you from the exertion.
Okay, I have a question. What did that accomplish?
It bought time for the rebels to escape out the back door.
What, all he could do was give them 10 minutes, and he was like, "That's worth risking my life. I'm sure 10 minutes is gonna be exactly the amount of time that they need, and not that they were gonna..." Like, he showed up in the doorway, right?
Yeah.
And they shot 1,000,000 lasers at him. And they went through him, to where the rebels are.
Well, no, he walked a good couple dozen yards away from the door before they shot him.
Yeah, but they go in a straight line. They're still
they went in a straight line down into the ground where he was standing.
Why are they shooting at his feet?
Because AT-ATs are a whole lot taller than he is.
There are no people on the ground?
Nope.
So it works because the rebels suck. Or the Empire sucks.
Yes.
That is the dumbest reason for him to die.
It's sort of talked about earlier in the movie. The first time that Kylo Ren wonders how it is that he's seeing Rey, he says something along the lines of, "This can't be you force projecting yourself. The effort would kill you."
So someone was force projecting him.
Yes, it was Snoke.
And Snoke's not dead.
Nope.
Why not?
Because Snoke is stronger than Kylo Ren thought.
But stronger than Luke, apparently?
Well, it's a combination of raw strength and discipline. She doesn't have anywhere near the training she would need for it.
Yeah, I don't really care about her. I'm saying that Luke died, but Snoke didn't.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
Also, Snoke died to a dumb lightsaber anyways. So his death was still dumb.
Yeah. And I just realized I forgot an important scene between when Luke showed up and when Rey left. So, while everyone's getting captured on the Star Destroyer, Luke is, leaving his hut and going to the tree where he keeps all of the original sacred Jedi texts. And he's basically holding a lighter with the intent to burn the whole thing down. And on his way there, he walks past Yoda. Like Yoda's Force Ghost, and just kind of does a double take. Yoda says, "Hey, what's up?" Luke says, "I'm going to burn this place down." Yoda says, "Okay." Luke just kind of stares at him for a second like he can't believe Yoda would be okay with this and says, "No, really, I'm going to do it." "Okay. You're not going to stop me?" And at this point, Yoda just raises a finger and a giant lightning bolt comes down out of the clouds and destroys the repository.
Why?
He was making a point to Luke. Partially. Also, Rey made off with the text when he wasn't looking, so it didn't actually destroy anything.
Okay, but what point was he trying to make?
The point he was trying to make was that Luke had put the Jedi on a pedestal of what he thought they were supposed to be, but there was a lot more to it than that. What Yoda said was, "I told you to pass on what you have learned. Mastery and discipline, yes, but also, your failures. The things you should have learned as a person that made you a better person, better able to carry on the Jedi lineage than I was."
And then Luke died, so none of it mattered.
Yeah, except, comes back in the next movie as Force Ghost.
Oh, God damn it. Force Ghosts were an interesting idea, and then they took it... these movies specifically took it significantly too far.
Oh, you think that's bad? Han Solo gets a Force Ghost. Not actually, but basically.
I mean, if he... it has to... there's no basically... Regular humans in Star Wars can't get ghosts, so therefore this has to be a Force Ghost.
Okay, so...
I wish Qui-Gon was back in this movie. I wish he got a Force Ghost and actually just kicked Kylo Ren in the dick.
No, he gets his Force Ghost in Clone Wars.
Oh, really? Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, Qui-Gon is the one who teaches Yoda how to Force Ghost. Yoda then teaches Obi-Wan, and apparently Obi-Wan wrote a book because now everyone knows.
Okay, so what happens after Luke dies?
Okay, so after Luke dies, the credits roll, basically. Yeah, the rebels escape, Luke dies, the end. Rey and Poe are formally introduced to each other for the first time because somehow in the course of these two movies, they hadn't actually met until now.
Okay. So I hated that.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, are you ready to do Rise of Skywalker in 19 minutes?
Mm-hmm. And you haven't heard the worst line yet. It's still coming.
Certainly have.
Well, I can basically start this next movie with it.
Okay.
This is verbatim. Somehow Palpatine returned. So yeah, canonically, after
Nope, this is it. Somehow Palpatine returned. Credits roll. That's this movie. Yeah,
yeah,
I knew that he showed up again. Because if I remember right, the second movie ends with his laughing.
the trailer for the
Okay.
movie ends with his laughing.
Which, cool. They could have just said he's a Force ghost, and that would have been fine.
No, he was not a Force ghost. Actually, physically in person.
I know, but they could have just made him a Force ghost, and it would have been better.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway, if it
um,
was him as a Force ghost teaching Snoke what to do, that would have been interesting.
So thankfully, this plot is a little more straightforward than the last one, so it shouldn't take as long to explain.
It better not. We have 19 minutes, and if you keep making me throw my head back in pain and disgust.
So yeah, so the movie opens with Kylo Ren blowing up a village. Very original. Hasn't done that before.
Wait, a village? Okay, love that. He starts with planets, and now he's just down to villages.
So he does all that to get his hands on something called a Sith Wayfinder, which leads him to a planet in the unknown regions called Exegol, where he finds Palpatine, just, chilling in a temple somewhere. And he asks, "Who are you?" And Palpatine says, "I am Darth Sidious. I am every voice you have ever heard in your head." Because Kylo Ren has been hearing voices in his head basically since he was a kid.
But we haven't talked about that until now.
Would it have made him any better of a character?
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah. He's been, in Ben Solo's head basically forever. Ben Solo says something along the lines of, I destroyed Snoke, I'll destroy you too. To which Palpatine replies, I made Snoke. Snoke was a failed Palpatine clone.
Yeah.
Snoke's sole purpose, aside from setting up the First Order, was to basically be Kylo Ren's mentor. And the whole thing with Sith Ascendancy is, in order to become a fully fledged Sith, you have to kill your master.
Yeah.
So a Sith apprentice is not truly Sith until he has killed his master and become himself the master.
Okay, so Darth Vader killed Sidious, and then Darth Vader died, so there's no more Sith, so then there can't be any more Sith ever again.
Right, except Sidious didn't actually die. When Vader threw Sidious down the elevator shaft, Sidious basically teleported his consciousness out of the body that was falling down that shaft and into one that was hiding somewhere in the unknown regions.
Yep, good plot.
But it wasn't quite finished.
Okay.
So it's basically just been rotting for the past 40 years.
So when you kill your master, that person has to be a Sith?
Yes.
Okay, so Snoke wasn't a Sith because he didn't kill his master.
Yeah, technicalities.
Which means that that Kylo also isn't a Sith. You said that you have to kill your master in order to become a Sith.
Correct. And Kylo isn't actually a Sith, but he has demonstrated the resolve needed to become one. So throughout all of this, Palpatine's main goal is to get Kylo Ren eventually to kill him. When Kylo Ren kills Palpatine, Kylo Ren will officially become one of the Sith, and Palpatine, at that point, will be able to jump bodies into Kylo Ren.
What? So he's just Xehanort from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, so Palpatine decides he's going to try the old, no, you will rule the galaxy thing with Kylo Ren, and it works. And Palpatine gives him control of, wait for it, the Final Order. Which is an army that's been building up by Sith cultists on Exegol basically since the fall of the Empire. And it includes a swarm of something like 80 Star Destroyers, all of which have a Death Star gun on them. Every single one of these Star Destroyers can actually blow up a planet. But he can't have them yet, because he's not done doing favors for Palpatine. What Palpatine wants him to do is kill Rey.
But not Palpatine?
Not yet.
Why doesn't he just have him kill him right now and then possess him immediately?
Because he wants Rey dead. Because she's a Jedi.
Yeah, but he can just do that.
Yep. I think we've established through the past 8 movies, Palpatine really doesn't like doing things himself.
Or thinking. Like, I don't like doing things myself. All the people that I trust to do things don't do things correctly, and then my plans fail. Gotta get someone else.
Yeah. Palpatine sees himself as the ultimate puppet master. He just kind of sucks at it.
Yeah, he is the ultimate puppet master, but he consistently finds the worst puppets.
Yeah. So Kylo Ren goes out to kill Rey. I don't remember exactly how this happens. Rey stumbles upon a MacGuffin. This MacGuffin being an ancient Sith dagger, and by ancient, it's apparently like 20 years old.
Hold on. So, 20 years ago... Wait, how is it a Sith dagger if the only Sith that was around at that time was Palpatine?
Palpatine ordered it made for some reason.
He would have been in his new body.
Yes.
Which wasn't complete yet.
Correct.
But he can still use Amazon?
Yes. He can still order his cultist around. So yeah, Rey finds this ancient Sith dagger that apparently has the location of the only other Sith Wayfinder on it, which they need to find their way to Exegol, because Palpatine broadcast a galaxy-wide transmission to the rest of the galaxy saying, "Hey, I'm on Exegol. I'm Emperor Palpatine. This is the final order. Y'all gonna die." So, of course, everyone panics. At this point, you hear, apparently Palpatine returned. And they go off to find their way to Exegol. So she finds the dagger. The dagger leads the way to Exegol. C-3PO says, "Oh, I can read this. This tells us how to get to Exegol." Okay, how do we get to Exegol? "I can't tell you. It's written in Sith. I have a programming block that completely prevents me from ever translating anything in Sith."
Hold on, I'm finishing drawing Palpatine ordering a dagger on Amazon. This is more important to me than any of the bullshit you just said.
Yeah, I'll explain in a minute why we know it's only like 20 years old.
Is the Wayfinder basically just the compass from Pirates of the Caribbean?
Basically, yeah.
I wrote Space Compass, and I'm proud of myself for just guessing how dumb this shit is.
So 3PO says, "I've translated this dagger. I can't tell you what it says." So they have to go find some droid hacker who will...
Who the fuck programmed C-3PO to do that? The only person who has programmed him is Anakin Skywalker.
It was a mandatory part of programming for all translator droids in the Old Republic.
Yeah, except that Anakin built it, so, like, in his backyard. So, like, I don't think he had to follow the same rules.
He still used the default operating systems. Like, I built my computer on my kitchen table, but it still uses Windows.
So you're saying, yeah, but some people use Linux.
Yeah, 3PO doesn't.
I think Anakin would have been pretentious enough for that. I guess not kid Anakin. Anyways, so what happens?
So yeah, they go off to find some droid hacker who will get the information out of 3PO. They discover that the only way to do this will basically delete all of 3PO's memories. 3PO says, sure, why not?
What? So they just do it?
So they just do it. They delete all his memories. His eyes turn red. He gets a really creepy, low voice.
Oh my god, Creepio is canon?
Yes, Creepio is canon. So, yeah, creepy low voice. He tells them exactly what the dagger says, and then reboots. "Hello, my name is C-3PO, Human Cyberwork Relations. Who are all of you?" So yeah, his memory is completely gone. At this point, of course, the First Order shows up again, and they have to get him moving, quickly out the back door in order for them not to get caught. And he's like, "Oh, how rude! We only just met."
Wow. So they really just are like, what if we just take our comedic relief character, who's one of the last few remaining survivors of the previous trilogies, and then essentially kill him and make it funny.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what happens, Tim?
Then they go to Endor.
Okay. At least they're reusing it at least one place.
Mm-hmm. Except instead of the forest part, they're on a it's basically just plains and cliffs and oceans. And they find the ruins of the Death Star. And someone notices that the really weird jagged outline on the dagger matches up exactly to the topography of the Death Star, and the crossguard points to where the Wayfinder is hiding. So that dagger had to have been made after the second Death Star crashed on Endor and, got blown up.
So it was made by Palpatine, who was nowhere near Endor. What cultists? Yeah. How did any of them survive the Death Star exploding?
The Sith cultists had been on Exegol for generations before Darth Sidious was actually Darth Sidious.
I mean, they weren't Sith though, because there's only one Sith at a time.
There's only one Sith Lord at a time, and there's only one Sith apprentice at the time. But when I say Sith here, I don't mean Sith as in Force user. I mean Sith as in civilization.
What? Okay, whatever. I don't care anymore. Just tell me what happens next.
We can get to that in another video. So anyway,
we can't.
So she, climbs up the Death Star because, that's the thing she's good at. She's been climbing defunct Imperial architecture for most of her life because she was a scavenger.
Yep.
So that, at least that's a callback. She climbs up, finds the Wayfinder, and Kylo Ren's there. Seriously, like just half the plot points in this series are surprise, Kylo Ren.
It's just every time it's just, and I'm here, and Rey's like, are you as disappointed as I am?
Yeah. So they get in the lightsaber battle. They're pretty evenly matched. Leia decides to use this moment to reach out to her son through the Force, and she distracts him, and Rey stabs him, and then she dies. By she, I mean Leia dies.
What? Why? What?
Because apparently that exertion killed her.
Why? What is?
And also because they ran out of footage of Carrie Fisher they already had.
Oh, okay, that I get, but may she rest in peace. But like, God, the Skywalker clan's just so exhaustible.
Yeah. So yeah, Leia distracts Kylo Ren. Rey stabs him. He falls down. Obviously, he's dying, and she heals him with the Force. Because apparently that's the thing she can do now. So and Leia she says, dies. I wish you were one of the good guys. And then she takes his ship and flies off.
So what you're saying is Leia distracts Kyle so that Rey can hit him. Dies to do so, and then Rey goes, oh shit, I didn't mean to hurt you. Heal.
Yeah, basically.
Fucking disrespectful.
Yeah, but after Rey flies off, Kylo, of course, has a
change of heart.
I was going to say psychotic break, because that's the point where his dad shows up. And when I say his dad technically isn't a Force ghost, he doesn't have the weird blue glowy thing around him. He just looks like Han Solo standing there. So canonically, people are pretty sure Han was never actually there. This was just Ben Solo having a psychotic break. So in that scene, they basically repeat what happened on Starkiller Base. Kylo Ren says he's not sure if he's strong enough to do what he needs to do, and Han Solo says he'll help. And then Kylo Ren throws his lightsaber into the ocean.
How many times are we going to throw lightsabers into the ocean?
Just the 2 times. Anyway, yeah. At this point, he's no longer Kylo Ren, and he's back to being Ben Solo. And he is now good. Which makes up for all the people he killed and planets he destroyed. So yeah, Rey, after a few detours that didn't really amount to much, flies off to Exegol to confront the Emperor, and Ben is, about 45 minutes behind her, apparently. So she finds her way to the Emperor, and he says, "Hello, I'm your grandfather."
I'm just... Damn.
Rey's full name is Rey.
They had the chance to make characters that aren't related to someone that fucking matters. And they were just like, oh, what if Darth Sidious fucked?
Well, everyone was worried about what if Darth Sidious fucked.
No one was worried about that.
Palpatine's quote-unquote son was just another Palpatine clone that turned out functional, but he didn't really like the look of and wasn't force sensitive, so he just said, "You're my son now. Go do stuff."
Wait, he had a clone that sucked and wasn't for... Is that Snoke?
No, that was Palpatine's quote-unquote son, who then escaped Exegol and had a daughter that was Rey, who is force sensitive.
Did he just, lead a normal life?
Until Palpatine sent an assassin to kill him, yeah. So Palpatine's like, "Surprise! I'm your grandpa. You want to kill me?"
Does he want her to become a Sith?
He wants basically whoever he can get his hands on at this point.
He's the desperate puppet master. At this point, he's just shadow puppets. He's like, technically, he's puppets. Oh!
So he tries to talk her into killing him, and she's acting all tempted. I don't know. I'm not sure if I actually do want to kill you, but I killed your parents. I don't know. That doesn't really change a whole lot. Turns out the whole time she was just stalling for Ben to get there because they're still connected through the Force, and apparently she knew he was behind her.
And she was just waiting for him to kill him?
Yeah, so Ben gets there, and he gets into the temple and ends up fighting all of the Knights of Ren, who, yes, just now came back into the series for the first time. At least as far as something that's relevant. You've been seeing them walking in the shadows for most of this movie, and you see them for one scene in The Force Awakens, and that's all that they're ever mentioned until now. But yeah, now he's good, so now he has to kill them. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a lightsaber.
Yeah, I was wondering why he threw it in the ocean.
Yeah, in fairness, that was kind of a crappy lightsaber he had. So anyway,
But, yeah, agreed, but also that was, the thing that they used to, make these movies, that was, their big selling point for these movies.
Yeah, so he ends up fighting a whole bunch of them without any kind of weapon whatsoever.
I mean, can he not use lightning?
Nope. Rey can, he can't.
What? He sucks.
Well, yeah, he's a Skywalker.
I mean, Luke was cool, though. Luke actually used, force choke and shit.
Alright, so he gets into that fight. Rey is about to strike down the Emperor.
Oh, so she wasn't waiting for him.
No, she was, because she does this big, huge wind-up where she's, holding the lightsaber over her head, goes all the way behind her back, and then she's like, opens her hands, and she's not holding anything more. And now Ben is holding the lightsaber in a completely different room. Because as previously mentioned, they can touch when they're in their force meld thing, and apparently they can also pass objects between them.
So they can teleport things, but
Yeah,
only
basically.
to each other. I do hope you appreciate that in order to draw Palpatine, I just draw an ASCII butt and then add eyes and a mouth.
Yes, I did appreciate that.
Good.
So then Ben finishes killing everyone with his lightsaber, and Rey pulls out her other lightsaber, which she'd gotten earlier in the movie that used to belong to Leia.
Which we've only just now decided to mention.
Really, until now, it was interesting, but not really important to the plot. But yeah, Luke did formally train Leia, but before he finished her training, she apparently had some sort of vision that said she wasn't ever going to be a real Jedi, but someone that she trained would come and finish the path that she started on.
And that's supposed to be Ben?
Rey.
But she didn't train Rey.
She sort of is training Rey at the beginning of this movie, although they kind of do a bad job of showing it because they couldn't get any new footage with Carrie Fisher.
Okay. Okay, so why didn't she just teleport that one to Ben beforehand?
She wasn't already holding it.
But she had it on her.
Yeah, but they weren't linked at that moment.
Why didn't she just give it to him before he turned, like, before he threw his lightsaber? Like, no, okay, just go on.
Because he wasn't good at that point. He hadn't had his psychotic break yet.
So now what happens?
So now Palpatine decides he doesn't want her to kill him and calls in a bunch of guards to kill her, and she kills them. At this point, she and Ben have both made it into the room, and, they're both standing in front of Palpatine, and Palpatine just decides, you know what, screw this, and just starts directly draining the life force out of both of them at the same time, healing himself and killing them.
And killing them?
Just about. He more or less kills Ben and then tosses him down an elevator shaft.
Oh, okay. I feel like that's happened before.
Yeah. And then Rey doesn't quite get killed. They have a quick force battle. Palpatine shoots... I can't even really call it lightning. I can't think of anything stronger than lightning. Force plasma cloud into the atmosphere to kill all of the rebels that are trying to get to the planet and blow everything up.
So all the rebels died?
Almost. She managed to stop them. At this point, Palpatine turns it on her, but she blocks it with her lightsaber and starts advancing toward him because, this ended well for him the last time he tried this with Mace Windu.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, in fairness, it did end well for him.
Mm-hmm. Only because Anakin was there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
She's the only one here now.
Yeah, well, maybe Kylo Ren will come back.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so yeah, he is using Force Lightning at her. She's blocking it. He says something along the lines of, "You fool, you can't beat me. I am all of the Sith." Because, that's been his thing. All of the Sith prior to him are living on through him because of the Sith transference ritual thing.
Oh,
so
okay, hold on.
He has the power of all the Sith. She says, "Oh yeah? Well, I'm all the Jedi." And kills him with his own lightning. She just bounces it back at him, and he kind of dissolves and explodes.
So he's basically saying, "I'm the Avatar." And she says, "No, I'm the Avatar."
Yeah, basically.
And then
so at that point,
well,
Palpatine explodes, the temple collapses, Rey dies from the exhaustion.
Has anyone ever died of exhaustion in these movies up until this trilogy?
Padme.
No, she lost the will to live.
Canonically, although this was really, really poorly explained, Palpatine drained her life force to keep Vader alive while he was on the operating table.
It didn't happen in the movie, so no. Besides, it's much more funny to hear Darth Vader be like, "My wife died, so I'm gonna kill a lot of people," and someone be like, "Oh, that sucks. Who killed her?" And Darth Vader's like, Significantly funnier.
Yeah. So anyway, Rey dies. Ben crawls his way back out of the elevator shaft.
Does he cast Force Phoenix down?
Basically, yeah. He kisses her and revives her.
Oh my god, he really...
And they kiss for a second. Then he dies. And she decides that she doesn't want to just spend the rest of eternity doing that back and forth. So she just leaves him there. So yeah, at this point, there was a separate subplot with the rebels blowing up that fleet of Star Destroyers with Death Star guns on them, but really, all you need to know is the rebels blow up the Star Destroyers with Death Star guns on them. The end.
Cool.
One of them, they do it by riding horses on the outside of the Death Star.
Can't get any worse than what's already happened.
Why do they do it? Because they need to turn off its GPS.
You can really see right at this section where, like, my soul finally was broken and I no longer cared enough to like, the way I have drawn these characters has significantly diminished because I do not fucking care.
So yeah, the Sith are defeated. Rey is now the Jedi. Everyone lives happily ever after. The Resistance,
except for most characters that died,
decides to put up the New Republic, I guess.
The newer
Rey
Republic.
decides she's just gonna go live on Tatooine. So she goes to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's old farm and, tidies it up some and decides she's going to live there now. And some old Navy labor walks by. Old lady neighbor.
Is it Shmi Skywalker?
Right, I don't think I did.
Is it Shmi Skywalker's Force Ghost?
Might as well be.
If they had done that, I would have been fine.
Some old lady walks by and says, "Oh, it's been so long since we had visitors. Who are you?" And she says, "I'm Rey." Rey? Rey who? And at this point, Rey looks off into the distance and she sees Luke and Leia as a pair of Force ghosts just smiling at her. And she says, "Rey Skywalker." Roll credits.
I'm just going to end it on her wanting to see the Jizz Band again instead of all that shit. All I know about Star Wars weird shit is that there is a music type called Jizz.
Yep. Yes, there is.